I'm assuming everyone received the package.
But I decided today, kind of matches.
Is there anything that needs to be added to the agenda at this time?
I'd like to add if I may, add a point under new business to discuss how some direction from you on how you'd like to handle Sundays with holiday closures. And I'll get into more about that when we get there.
No, that's too hard. We don't want to discuss that.
It's a hard one.
It is.
That's why I'm asking for your help.
Is there a motion to approve the October 25th, 2023 agenda with the additional direction on Sunday closures under the new business?
I move to approve.
I'll second it.
Yes, we have a quorum. Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of the September 27th, 2022 regular meeting minutes, the pending deposited gifts reports and statistical reports as submitted or amended?
I move that we do that.
I second.
All right, is there any public comment? Anyone? Okay, then we can move on to our reports. Our friends, library friends.
Ruth couldn't be here today, but I'll just say briefly that they're preparing, they're very busy right now preparing for their sale coming up on the 3rd and 4th of November. And it'll be a little different this time. It'll be in, as Ruth mentioned last month, it'll be in the auditorium at the main library. And so far, everything looks pretty good. I was down on the mezzanine last night, and they've got a lot of stuff boxed up and ready to be moved. So they're prepared for that. And the only other thing going on this evening, there's a program at the main library, a joint venture with Rob Womack, the artist of the Conjurer Revealed, which was the piece that the board accepted that came over from the Altria Theater, that originally been placed there in 1995. And they partnered with Baroque RVA and have a musical program this evening that's inspired by, and it's largely going to be improvised on the spot, if you will, with 7 or 8 different musicians that are part of the Baroque RVA band. Those are the big things right now.
Is there a report from the Library Foundation?
Good morning. The impact report, where we talk about wonderful accomplishments of the library over the next year, will be going out this week. The annual fund letter will go out the first week of December. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of the trustees who have recently invested in the library system through the foundation. I'm most grateful. On the grant side, we are pleased to share that the REB Foundation is investing in the RVA Reads program. And we recently submitted a request to CarMax to invest in our summer reading program and specifically our internship expansion efforts. And we have also submitted a request to have Meg Medina appear in her official role as National Young Persons Ambassador for the Library of Congress. And that would coincide with summer 2024 efforts. Nice.
Thank you. Scott, is there a report from the administration?
Just briefly, I'll add to the report that's in your packet. If you have any questions on my report on page 7, I can talk more to that. Let me introduce Louis Moransky. Louis is our branch manager here at Ginter Park. He was hired this summer, I believe. And he has been here probably since about 2019, Louis? January 2019, he started at North Avenue. as a part-time person and then came over here as a youth services associate and has been here since a year from then. And he's completing his MLS and has taken over the reins as the manager. And he's just been doing a great job the last 4 or 5 months. So once we get him some staff here, we'll really get to make this place go. So welcome to Lewis, and I'm pleased that you get to meet him today. And if you have any questions, if you want to walk around the branch, Lewis, well, I will be happy to answer anything. So let me also point out, you'll notice there's a lot of hiring going on at Richmond Public Library. There's 26 positions in here. We're actively filling and interviewing and making offers. I can mention that we've officially hired Jen Dool as the LCSM for outreach and engagement at the main library. And we're also welcoming Danielle Howard, a librarian down at Maine. She will be a senior librarian helping out there. So slowly but surely, we're replacing all those positions we lost. I just want to bring your attention, some of the bigger positions. Last year, you challenged me to get an early literacy point of contact, and that position has been posted. And actually, we've elevated that to a librarian level position. So enhanced, and we're getting it done. We're also, when Jen moved into the LCSM position, we're going to backfill her young adult position. So with that, we'll be able to keep, we'll finally have we'll have a young adult librarian dedicated to it once again. And then another new posting is a collection librarian to manage special collections as part of the Richmond room. And the uniquely Richmond's goal in the strategic plan. We'll have a person dedicated to managing all of our different special collections, which is the Davenport collection, the Richmond room. And we're going to have a lot of really great opportunities going forward with that part of our strategic plan. And then many of the other hires will aid us in opening up on Sundays and expanding hours across the board. So achieving that other goal in our strategic plan of access. So this is a lot, and we're going to get it done. And we're opening the library just the way we talked about. Other highlights. I want to remind you that Read Up Richmond is November 14th. That is the big one. We have S.A. Cosby coming, and he'll be in conversation with Dale Brumfield. That is one of our perennial things. And then some nice things in our things to celebrate. Also want to say preliminarily, I like to see the numbers at North Avenue starting to pick up after being closed for 6 months. So I think I've hit all of the big things in my report. Any other questions?
I have a question about the down at the bottom of the first page of report about coordinating monthly outreach emails to city council. Is this a substitute for hours or?
No, it's just we're updating the liaisons to all of the different council people so that they can put our information in their newsletters.
I just don't want any
Duplication
that
sure.
is obvious.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like sending them the what's happening.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's not advocacy, it's more promotional information is what we're sending out.
And Susan and I, we talked about that last meeting, just making sure that what was being sent from RPL did not conflict with what our messaging would be. So we're all set.
We should be in alignment there.
Yep.
All right.
Oh yeah, conflicts would not be good for the it's duplication I was thinking of.
All right, we can move on. Garrett, can you give us the advocacy task?
Sure will. Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief. As we talked about at our last meeting, we really wanted to focus on another communication to our city council representatives to again, thank them. Because as we know, there's been a lot of work that's been done by this board to ensure that our funding was restored to previous, fiscal years. So just thank them for all the work that's been done and also share some great things, some great stories. As you can see in the communication that you also have a copy of in front of you. And thanks, Gianna, for preparing this for us this morning. Over the last few months, we have over 300 summer programs attended by individuals, children, and families. We've increased literacy efforts for children and adults and increased operation hours at our libraries for our communities to use. One thing that I pulled out of the recent report that we had was related to our e-content numbers, which I think are really something to celebrate. I mean, just looking at February 2023, we were at 17,810, and now we're up to 26,000. So that's a great thing to celebrate and provide that to our council reps. Also, I loved when I read the report about things to celebrate, pulling out the testimonial from Westover Hills Library, which is my home library that I've gone to since I was a little kid. I just really love that story, and it really kind of just showcased the great work that the libraries are doing. As we talked about our last meeting as well, though, we want to make sure that we're keeping our ask at the top of the minds of our city council reps, particularly as we close out this year and go into 2024, as it relates to our renovation of our main public library. So I just wanted to always put the visual there so they can remember how that rendering looks. And we'll continue that messaging as we move forward to close out this year and go into next year.
Thank you. And I do appreciate the format of this. You know, a lot of times when people get letters and papers, they're just words on paper and they kind of get shuffled. But this picture, you know, they're gonna have to look at that. So what is that? You know, so thank you. Chris, can we get something from about that? Thank you. Okay, we can move on to the board committee reports. I do not have one, so we can move on to the finance committee.
You see where we're at, no surprises on where we're at tracking on the budget. We're purchasing books, we're hiring our folks. There's no just preliminary stages on budgeting. The mayor's office is just gathering information to start planning for what they want to do in 2024. They're really all waiting to see what's going to happen with the election on November.
Okay.
That will impact revenues. And so once that decision is made, I think more things will be clear. So it's a little bit early yet to really determine where we're going. But we'll know more come then to prepare for December. Other than that, no surprises right now. Garrett and I will meet. I think we're trying to get a meeting together early next month after the election so we can start talking about different ideas.
Okay. Janet, can we get a report from the facilities committee?
Well, all the facilities are still there. As far as I know, is that correct? We haven't had any leaks or?
No, we haven't had any disasters. We've been installing some security cameras at Broad Rock. We've completed the East End stormwater landscaping project. That is done, and we're steadily watering plants and getting that to.
Have you sent out any photos of the completed? I don't remember seeing it completed.
We had photos on the day of everybody, the volunteers really pushing the plants into the ground and wrapping things up. It's been about a month, so hopefully the plants are set. So I kind of want to get a late fall one after things are established, and then an early spring one to see how it shows up. But other than that, we haven't had any major issues.
Was there a parking conflict at Belmont with? I remember reading something about.
Oh, yeah, we've had some problems. There's construction on the house beside the Belmont Branch Library, and they're blocking the alley and taking over our parking lot. And citizens have been complaining about that because they can't get through the parking lot. They can't get through anything. And so we've done 311 tickets. The city's been out there and twice to talk to the homeowner and try and sort that out to get them to stop blocking up all of our parking and causing problems at that branch. So we'll see. But yeah. And then Gail's been, if you want to talk about that.
I have a little update from what we talked about last month, jumping into Bill's idea about a bookmobile. I spoke to Charity Howell in Jen McClellan's office about the process. She's the assigned person for Jen on these community funding projects. And a couple things, she said that they will get the guidelines for 2025 in January. So that's when the process starts, and I'm now on an email list for her to get those. She did say she's a little concerned about the 2024 decisions because the funding is tied up in Congress right now,
Right.
and we all know what's happening there. But she's optimistic, but it's just been delayed. So this will be, and then she gave a on or about April 1 for the deadline. So that will give us some guidance. Scott and I had a long conversation about bookmobiles. He's very familiar with two major companies, and he even kind of gave a ballpark estimate of $500 to $1,000 to $1 million for the truck itself with build out and all that stuff. And boy, looking at websites, it's amazing what they can do with these bookmobiles. And then a couple $100,000 for staffing and getting things going, and for stock, $100,000 for the stock to go into it, depending on what we decide to do. And he projected if we could get a bid for 5 years out, it would be a $3 million investment. So we have some round numbers to work with. Once we just talked about organizing a meeting coming up soon, maybe before the holidays. We're entrenched in holidays and things like that. So to get a start on at least a model and meeting with these groups to see what they can do for us. Any thoughts about that? Just let me know.
I like the concept.
Yeah. I think it'll be. I did see that on this topic that Virginia Beach was able to get one through this funding process. They didn't spend as much money. I think it was a joint effort, but Virginia Beach was given a $60,000 grant to purchase a new, more versatile bookmobile. So $60,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but maybe they had a start in the budget. So anyway, but they have found it a valuable source for outreach, and even preschool and daycare center help.
Okay.
So thank you.
Thank you. Emily, do we have anything?
Do not have a report
From
from governance.
All right. We can move on to, is there any unfinished business? Okay. There being none, we'll move on to new business.
All right. I mentioned the holidays and how to handle the holidays. So we're setting our calendar for next year to determine the holidays that we're closing. We follow the city generally, but the city does not follow our 7-day-a-week operation. So what happens is we have these, what we call floating holidays that kind of happen any day of the week. So they can happen on a Friday or a Saturday. And usually if a holiday falls on a Saturday, we're closed on the Friday. And then the city closes on the Friday and the Saturday. So then what do we do about Sundays then? Do we open on Sundays or stay closed on Sunday and observe the holiday completely for that weekend? The same happens on a Monday, which would be Labor Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, Columbus Day, or Indigenous Peoples' Day, I apologize. So we're closed on Monday. Do we close on the following Sunday preceding the holiday? Now, this will affect 4 branches: Maine, Ginter Park, Broad Rock, and West End at this time. All of our other branches are closed on Sundays. So that's the quandary we're in. I'd like some guidance on how to handle that, because, for example, we have Veterans Day coming up this year. Veterans Day is actually on a Saturday, but we're closed on Friday. So Friday, Saturday, we would open on Sunday. We are fortunate this year, the marathon is the same day as Veterans Day. So we won't have to close Main Library, because Main Library gets completely surrounded and you can't even get into the main library.
Yeah.
So we're going to avoid that conflict this year. That said, I'd like some guidance, because the city has no guidance on this for our organization, or I don't think any other department. So
How do they handle emergency workers who have to work? Do they give them comp time? Do they pay them double or double time or? When they have, when somebody has to work on a city holiday.
They work on a different schedule. So like they have a 24/7 schedule that's completely different. I don't know how it factors in, but they already have it built in. And so they never close, but they also don't serve
Right.
serve the public the way
Right.
we serve them. So it's not the same sort of
Yeah, it's a different ball wax, but I just thought there might be a
Are you
standard.
thinking of fire and police? What are you thinking of?
Yeah, I guess fire and police would make sense, emergency,
Yeah, well, they're 24/7.
yeah.
So I'm
But
thinking of the same kind of question. I know Fairfax has Sunday hours in the regional offices. How do they handle it? I mean, it would be nice to have some models of other, ideally library systems. Fairfax would be one, but there might be many others.
Henrico.
Or museums that, just to model and to chat with, how did they come up with their decisions? And what would they do differently in retrospect?
I, for instance, this used to come up at school for me with my student employees. And when there was going to be a long weekend closed, no one wanted to work. So I would have to pay double time.
so I've already pitched this to the city. They won't allow me to pay holiday pay on
Okay,
those days.
yeah,
They won't allow that. Wow.
Yeah, I've also pitched to them like changing our work week to align with how a 7-day a week operation will be. Because
yeah,
our time periods,
yeah,
our pay period starts on a Saturday and ends on a Friday. And that's very difficult to manage with 7-day a week people. So Sunday to Saturday would be much better for us, but that will not be changed. I've already made that request. I also asked for a pay differential for Sunday work. That was declined. So
so you're close to a win now, because you've had all your no's, a win is right around the
Yeah.
corner for you.
well, and I can't say, you asked about regionally. There are very few libraries in the state other than I think Fairfax is one of the few that has Sundays. Loudon probably has Sundays.
Yeah,
So those
I
are
would guess Loudon.
those are the
Yeah,
big guys up north.
right,
I can check on Virginia Beach, but very few.
yeah.
I think Henrico might have added
I
Sundays.
think a couple. of the
Henrico does have
branches-
Henrico
Sundays,
has
yeah.
some Sundays, so we
Henrico
can
does
see
have
what they're
Sundays.
doing.
It just, you can make whatever informed decision you want, but to look at models of people who have wrestled with this, why would you do all the mental stuff if somebody else has already done it,
Well, it's because it's all over the board. It really is all over the
Is it?
board. Yep.
Then I would follow Henrico. If it were up to me, I would just say they're our neighbor, we should align with them.
I have often thought that we're closed too often. I know that's, I hope the staff aren't listening, but
That's not popular.
because we're an essential public service and we're
Right,
committed
right.
to
Right.
knowledge and learning and all that good stuff. And I just wish we weren't closed so often, but I understand falling into the city structure places a lot of limitations on what you can do as a supervisor.
Well, and the city has really. We're the only department that's open 7 days a week for
What
the
about
general
parks?
public. They are not open on the weekends. There are very few community centers that are open on Saturdays and Sundays.
Really?
Yes, we have
But they
very,
do a lot of programming on the weekend.
well, they do a lot of programming outside. And they have some people who use their facilities, but very few of the community centers aren't open on Sundays.
But they're paying staff.
I want you to check that, but they are not open on.
Shame
most of
on
them,
them.
not
Shame on them.
Saturday and Sunday.
I will talk to my contact.
I think you should. I'm just reporting what I have.
Right, yeah, no,
So yeah. And then there's really no other city departments that are running programs, so it's a challenge to work within
Right,
that system.
right.
That said, staffing up will help.
Yeah.
I will say I've studied this issue a lot over the years. Not necessarily on Sundays, but we used to have holidays that the library was open, but were observed by other agencies. Columbus Day is the best example of that. The system I was in was, and we've had Veterans Day used to be the one too. So we did a statistical study to show like, okay, what does the Thursday that Veterans Day is on, does it look like compared to days that were open regularly? And invariably, we found that attendance goes down on those days. What we found on Saturdays, even during holiday weekends, attendance goes down.
I would expect that,
There are absolutely those diehards that come in.
right?
I think Sundays will be impacted just as much because they
Yeah.
kind of trail and precede the holidays.
Right.
So it gets to that point of like return on that investment.
Right.
I love to be open as much as everyone else. So then that's why I'm putting it out.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. This is my personal feel. I feel libraries can be enormously important. I think our brand is way too quiet a brand. And every time we're there for people, whether they choose to come or not, I think it elevates our dedication to be important in people's lives. And that had some currency for me personally.
So have we helped?
Not really.
So you're gonna look at Henrico and see how they're paying people,
Yeah.
because some of their branches must be 7 days a week.
I'll check
Well,
that.
Libby Mill is.
Because we're gonna need to make a decision at least by next month.
Yeah. I'll bring it. Well, it's a good thing to bring up because we're entering into the next year. We're gonna have
Right.
one more meeting
Right.
between now and the
Right.
start of the year. So I can give you that information.
Yeah.
And how many holidays are we talking about? Or do you
Good
have the
question.
calendar you could,
Good question.
I
share.
know that we have 21 holidays as a city institution. If you look at the whole year, that's how many holidays there are. In November alone, we'll have Election Day and we'll have Veterans Day. And then the city is elected to close the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, and the day after Thanksgiving. So that's 5 holidays in the month of November.
It seems like they don't want to work.
I have no public comment on that.
So the public libraries are closed on election day.
I was gonna say, isn't the library?
The library is open as an electoral poll, but we're not open to the public because it's a closed,
Is that true of every branch?
yes.
Be a good day to promote the library.
And then does the decision need to be all or nothing? Like I can see staying open the Sunday before Veterans Day, but maybe closing after Thanksgiving, like Thanksgiving weekend or whatever. Like, how does a decision need to be made? Is there any?
So we're open the weekend of Thanksgiving. So
Okay.
we open on
Mhm.
Saturday and
Okay.
Sunday.
Mhm.
So that one, I don't have a problem with Sundays.
Could we get an idea of how many of these Sundays we're talking about then?
Yeah.
Because I'm not clear on whether this is 20 or like 4.
I'm gonna guess it would be about 6.
Mhm.
So the Labor Day, Memorial Day, Juneteenth, a lot of holidays.
So
fall
it's
on
the
a Monday.
Monday holidays. That
President's Day.
that raised the question of whether to be open on Sundays, the
Mhm.
Monday.
Mondays is a big one. And then the ones I call floating that move in and out of the camp, moving in and out of Saturday or Friday. And so, you see how this is kind of a bigger, I wish there was an easy answer for you, but it's like what Chris says. Are we, and I agree with you, we need to beat our horn and be open, and that's awesome. We want to go down that road, let's do it. If we are following what the city's direction are, we're gonna probably close.
Yeah.
If we're looking around at what our peers are doing, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
So, it's staffing capacity too.
Right. You're dealing with
There's many things, and then-
variables.
And then it's very difficult for us to be up. If we try and open on days that so that won't be a factor. Like, I'm not gonna have to pay double time or things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I don't even know how the city would handle that. I don't know what their policies are. Because I don't think there are any other departments in the city that have this problem right now. So nothing at 900 Broad Street is having this problem. They close that whole building down. That's no problem.
Could we see what the list of the holidays we're talking about for this year looks like? That
Yep,
I think
I
that would
can
be helpful.
Get that out, send it out to you as like an addition to the packet next
Yeah.
month.
Yeah.
So bring it up, we'll carry it on,
Good.
and you
introduction.
guys can digest it and think about it, and
Right.
then we'll come to a good decision.
Well, maybe.
I'd be happy to not have to have the discussion.
Yeah.
And so will you.
But my understanding is there's no flexibility about pay,
No,
you know, and is there any flexibility about a comp day?
no, because that's like money too.
You can't make people work if they're not gonna get paid, so. Seems
No.
like the city is saying, we don't care if you're open,
Yes,
just don't bother us.
yes, yep.
Okay. Well,
I don't want to go with that.
What?
See, but this is a gray area.
Yeah,
This
it really
Sunday
is.
is,
Yeah. No, yeah.
Yep.
any other comments on the direction of the Sunday closures? Possible Sunday closures? Oh. All right, I had something I wanted to bring up again, and it concerns satellite branches. I know, Richmond is changing and we are growing, and there are places, just like they have food deserts, they have library deserts. And I know, there's a big push for zero emissions, so they don't want people driving cars. And we need to start looking at places that people can walk to, closer in the neighborhoods that aren't close to, there's no room for us to build any more branches in Richmond. I mean, let's be real. So some sort of satellite thing. And I know, I'm just throwing it out there now because when you talk about things like this, it's 3, 4, 5 years down the road before it could even happen. But I do want to start a discussion about it, about the possibility of it. And I keep pushing, like Scott's Addition and all the way down Jeff Davis Highway. There needs to be some access for people living in those places because the population density in those areas are growing like tremendously. And, they can't walk to the places that they need to go to. So I would like, maybe I'm throwing in facilities, to start looking at options for satellites. I know the bookmobile is a great idea, but it can't be everywhere. And there is a demand there for space and access to technology. So it needs to be somewhere where it's stable, in the neighborhood. So I would love for that to, I guess, to start the ball rolling on that, because it's going to cost money. You have to find spaces, and I'm sure it's a whole lot of paperwork and regulatory.
And we have to know
things.
where.
Yeah,
We have to, where are we talking about? Yeah.
So the facilities group, we just lightly touched on that. Places that need branches, but I was interested to read in the RVA 300 report that question was raised. Are our services in the right place? So Southside Plaza was mentioned, Scott's Addition, probably the Route 1, casino area. So yeah, I think it's something we should be talking about and pushing for, because nobody else is out there advocating for more library facilities. So we need to be doing that.
And more people are looking for places to go to work. There's no, I'm going into this building, Starbucks is full of people working, so, and, they have to purchase things if you sit there long enough. The library should offer a space for people to come and spend a few hours to do that. I don't see why it shouldn't, for free. And then they have access to resources and internet technology and, so forth as well. So just putting it out there. Okay. Another thing, I want to say kudos to Scott for being featured in the article.
Oh, you found it. Okay.
Yes, I found it. He has a whole article.
Oh,
You
that's
haven't seen it?
What?
Yes, on page 57.
That was an article that came out in August, I think.
It's in the October edition.
Okay.
Oh.
Richmond Family
Mhm.
Magazine, yeah.
And they featured four libraries, Richmond, Chesterfield, Pamunkey, and Henrico. And we got the first feature, so, wow, thank you. Congratulations.
Can they copy
I
that to the
just was
next
singing
packet?
our praises, so
Do you have copies for all of us?
Oh.
I-
Hmm.
I'll see what I can do.
Oh,
We'll-
you
we'll
get
track
it
it
at
down.
grocery stores.
Track it down and put it in the next month's.
Yeah,
packet.
put it
How's that?
next.
Thank you for bringing that up. I
Okay.
kind of forgot it.
No. It's good PR, very good. Okay, is there any other new business? There being none, I would say,
Ruth has arrived. I don't know if she wanted
oh,
to add anything.
did you wanna?
Oh, well, I hear that. Clay mentioned the book sale and there's a concert tonight with RVA Baroque with an artist presentation. We sent out our fall collection of membership renewal letters a couple weeks ago. We've had some good responses, both from returned envelopes and online. People go online more often now to pay through our website. So we've had some good response there. And I will be sending administration and Ben Himmelfarb as the branch manager at Maine, just to kind of like the schedule of things, when things are arriving, what's happening, and so you all have that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any other? What about missing? Oh, our next meeting will be December 6th, and that's a combined meeting for November and December, and it will be at 11:45 at the Hall Street Branch Library. Okay, anything else? Then it is 12:22 and meeting is adjourned.